Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mady No Filter. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day whenever you are seeing this. Today is going to be a message that is direct but filled with love. This is how to boss the F up and to take back your power, take back control of your life, the control that you do have, and become a creator of your reality because there is nothing outside of you that has control over you. Okay. It's only if you allow that. It's only if you allow that. So if you are struggling right now or you're feeling like things are not going your way, your mindset needs to change. Your mindset could be the key thing to having things actually start flowing into your reality. Mindset is everything. Mindset is key. The way that we view our reality, the way that we view the world around us and our place in the world around us. Because here's the thing, it's your reality. You're the main character of your version of your reality. We all are living in our own realities as a collective. And so you individually are the main character of your reality that you are experiencing. And so when you start to actually understand that, things kind of change. And I think the biggest thing, at least personally for me, and I want this to be a conversation, but I'm also just in this passionate energy today. um, you know when I took my power back from situations that literally had nothing to do with me, and what I mean by that is like other people's opinions of me, people's perceptions of me, what people think of me is genuinely none of my business. And a lot of times it's something that is a projection of their own viewpoint of themselves. And so like I've been on social media for a really long time, and I've gotten a level of hate comments and mean comments, things about my appearance, things about my body, all those things. And that kind of stuff used to get to me when I didn't have a good self-concept, when I wasn't really loving myself. And at this point I'm able to actually look at those comments and realize, one, half the time it's people that are literally sitting behind a screen without a profile picture. So it's like, okay, get a life. How sad is it that you have to sit there and your life is so dull and boring that you have to go and comment on someone's appearance because you're not happy with yourself. But that's the biggest thing, is like they're not happy. There's a saying that says happy people ain't hating and hating people ain't happy. And it's so true, because like if you're actually enjoying your life and you actually like love yourself and love the world around you, you're not going and taking your time commenting negative things on other people's posts. That's just, you don't have the time for that because you genuinely are loving your life. And so it's kind of one of those things. It's like, other people's opinions of you are none of your business, truly. Like, it has nothing to do with you. And when you can kind of let go of that, and especially too, like for those of you that are trying to attract in a person or love or things like that too, like their perception of you is what you assume to be true. Like, your assumptions really can create and help create outcomes. And I love talking about the law of assumption because it's the way that you're assuming things are going to go. Like right now, you're assuming something about your life right now, right? Let's say that you're like going to take a test, right? You're about to take a big test like the bar exam or something like that, for example. I know that's like very stressful, but something like that where, you go into it and you're going to be thrown off if you go into the test assuming that it's going to go bad and that you're going to fail. If you go into it assuming the most positive outcome, you're probably going to do better. It's like kind of tricking your brain into assuming that things are going your way. And so right now, if you have a situation in your life that's like stressing you out, or you're worried that something's not going to go your way, I challenge you to take that assumption and switch it into the positive, because we're always assuming something. So why not try assuming the best outcome? Why not just for a day assume the best out of every situation that comes up in your day? I challenge you for the next 24 hours to just every circumstance in your day assume that it's going to go well. Assume you're going to get a front row parking spot. Assume that you're not going to have to wait long in line to grab your coffee. Assume that there's going to be no traffic on your way to work. Those types of things. Start assuming the best. Assume that everything's working out for you, that everything's aligning in the perfect timing, because if you think about it, it's more miserable to sit there and assume the worst and to be negative. And we've all been there. I fell into the negative Nancy energy where I'm sorry for any Nancys out there. We love you. um, But I fell into that. Like there were times in my life where I was like, why is this happening to me? And just being upset with whatever the higher power was. That also was when I didn't have a good relationship with a higher power, and I didn't understand. I felt out of control. I felt like I had no control. And I didn't realize that the amount of control that I do have is over how I show up and how I'm perceiving things. And when I started shifting my mindset into, assuming that things were working out for me, they would. And I was able to manifest like random things when I started doing that. And it comes with time, it comes with practice, and also you have to be conscious of it. It's conscious, it's a conscious effort. And it's a daily practice. There's times where situations are going to come in and want to throw you off. But you get stronger each time. When you get triggered, you start to like react less and less, and you start to respond, right? Oh my God, what is this little hair doing? For those of you that want to see the video version and see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my hair looking weird, I also have a video version on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed there if you want to watch the video version. Um, but yeah, it's just like you have more power than you think, and even though there are things that are partially out of our control, like the timing of when things show up or how things show up, um, we also get to assume that it's working out for us, right? So again, I challenge you to look at whatever is stressing you out and start to assume better for yourself, assume the best possible outcome instead of the worst possible outcome. Like how start to think, how could this go well? How could this go well? Like, why not? Why not just start assuming that things are happening for you and not to you? And I know that's easier said than done. When I'm in a headspace where like I'm annoyed, I don't want to hear this kind of shit. I'm like, no, stop. Like, let me feel. And that's also important too. Like, we are humans, and you do. If you're frustrated, feel frustrated. If you're angry, feel angry. You don't want to suppress your emotions either. And I guess we can segue into that of emotions and how to process them. I've talked about this lightly, and I don't know that I'm ever going to make a full on episode about this because this is a really personal experience to me. And I don't want to get too into it, but I have mentioned that I gave up drinking almost a year ago, and it was life changing. It truly shed light on all the places and all the things that I was avoiding. And I think the biggest reason why I leaned on drinking and leaned on alcohol, that was the only substance that I ever used. I wasn't big on anything else. I was scared of everything else because of the DARE program at school. And my mom, she was like, don't do substances, only alcohol, whatever. And truly, like, I'm grateful for that. I did garden a few times, if you know what I'm talking about, gardening. But I stopped doing that a long time ago too. I stopped doing that before I stopped drinking alcohol because that was giving me anxiety, and I just stopped. But yeah, I feel like I couldn't process my emotions, and I was avoiding. I was trying to numb what I was feeling, and I couldn't see it that way until I gave up alcohol, to realize that I was just putting a band-aid over things that were still wounding. Like there was still wounding there that I was just putting a band-aid on it, doing all this like spiritual work and stuff, but then not understanding why I was still getting triggered by things. And it's because I was still, numbing that. I was still, putting a band-aid on my problems. And that doesn't even have to be a substance. For other people, it could be, you're chasing external validation, whether that's through relationships, whether that's through material things. People have all different types of habits that too much of a good thing can end up being a bad thing, right? It is one of those things. But yeah, so for me, I didn't realize until I gave that up that, oh my God, there's actually a lot more underneath that like I haven't actually addressed. And that was processing emotions. And I think the biggest thing for me was I wasn't letting myself feel anything, I only allowed myself to feel good emotions, but even then it's like I couldn't like relax. I didn't know how to like feel joy. I didn't know how to be happy. I didn't know how to feel peace. I didn't let myself be angry because there were also dynamics that I had in my life that when I did show a little bit of anger, it would be twisted on me, right? Like it'd be like, "Oh, like because I never spoke up for myself. And sometimes I needed alcohol to speak up for myself. And then the delivery was awful because of course it's, I'm not fully in my right frame of mind. And so it comes across as like, oh my God, like, are you good? Like, where did this come from? Because I would keep it all in and then I'd explode. Right. And I've learned from that. I've learned how to pause. Take a breath, evaluate. And of course, I'm human. I'm impulsive sometimes. We all are. But I think feeling your emotions is really important. And so to segue into that, I've started to actually feel my emotions, anger, sadness, grief, like all of the things, and like not looking at it as a sign of weakness. I think a lot of times, at least for me, because I'm someone who likes to be like, I used to have to put on this perfectionism, like I can tend to lean towards being a perfectionist. Like I wouldn't let myself be human. I wouldn't let myself be angry. Like I was like, well, if I'm angry, it makes me like them. It makes me like the people that hurt me. And it's like, no, you can be angry. You can be furious. Feminine rage, like the divine feminine, is all about really stepping into your divine feminine, which is energy, by the way. It's not gender, is also embracing like rage and anger and transmuting it into power. So it's not like I'm going to go do something wild, but I'm going to process it. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to talk to someone about it. I'm not going to keep it in. And by allowing myself to be human, by allowing myself to integrate that in, it has helped me find so much freedom, because if you don't allow yourself to feel, if you don't allow yourself to cry, if you don't allow yourself to be upset and to get those emotions out, they manifest in other ways. You'll hold them as weight in your body. You'll hold it as dis-ease in your body. There's a lot of things that can manifest from you not processing your emotions and not actually addressing those things so that you can get to the root of things. And healing doesn't have to be this drawn out process. Like, you're meant to live your life. You're not meant to sit here and heal 24/7. Like, that's not, no. We are here to learn and things like that, but you also are meant to enjoy life. There's always a balance. And I think, especially for me, when I got so wrapped up in spirituality, I went 0 to 100. I went so spiritual that I thought I couldn't have humanity. I thought that I couldn't have those emotions, that I wasn't allowed to feel those things. And I was listening to some like content on YouTube about manifestation that, like, I was listening to the wrong people too, about how, like, you know, don't feel your feelings, ignore the 3D. And I can go into a whole episode on that and what that actually means, because it's, you got to be really, I've said this so many times, but you got to be really careful what kind of content you're consuming, because it is important that you're not taking everything literally, and you do understand that every single person you watch has their own perspective. We all do. And so you also have free will, and you have your own mind, your own brain that can decipher whether or not this resonates with you, right? Just because someone else said something doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true in your reality. You get to choose what you take on and what you don't. And that's, you have the power of choice, right? And so when I started allowing myself to be human, I manifested so much more. I got the things that I wanted and then some. I feel like I show up more authentically. And I'm also not like, when I talk about me giving up alcohol, that was a very personal decision. It was a long time coming, honestly. And just for me, it doesn't align with my life. It just doesn't. It never did. And I think I just had to figure that out, right? It was just a lesson for me. But some people can be spiritual and drink, and that's fine. I have nothing against it. It's just a personal decision for me, as it is for everybody with anything in life. But when I let that go, I was able to tap in much more. I was able to elevate a lot spiritually, but then also like find my humanness again. I feel like that balance is so important, and allowing myself to just be, allowing myself to show up literally unapologetically, whether it was messy, whether it was chaotic, whether it was put together. Like I said, I was someone who needed to be put together all the time, and I like needed this facade. I wouldn't even let myself cuss on social media. And I'm like, well, that's not realistic, because I do cuss. Like, I try to be as professional as possible, but like, I'm also, I want to be real. I want to be as authentic as I can be. And in doing that, yeah, I cuss a little bit. I have a bit of a sailor's mouth. I don't know. It's just part of me. And I'm not going to hold back on certain parts of myself, because I did that for so long, and I was literally so uncomfortable in my own skin because I wasn't allowing myself to express myself to the full extent. Right. And being unapologetically yourself is so important. And of course, on the basis of you're not hurting anybody by doing it. Right. Like, there is a level of, okay, still be a good person and have good morals and values. Right. But like cussing or making a mistake, we're always going to make mistakes, like whatever it is that you're holding on to, from the past, because I feel like we all have had something. Let it go. Let go of the embarrassment. Let go of the shame. Let go of the guilt. Let go. Let go of the past. You only have the present moment. And holding on to regrets and shame and remorse and things like that, like, the past is done. It is what it is. You only have power over the now, and you don't know what's to come in the future. And that's a beautiful thing, though, because it keeps you present. Like, being present is how you really enjoy life, you know. Every day brings its own surprises, but it's the way you look at it. um I don't know. I've this topic was really important to me, and I just wanted to flow with the conversation because, I just think that there's so much out there online. We live a lot of our lives online. I do. That's my, like, entire career is online. And as much as I love that, you have to get really good at filtering out the noise, filtering out what doesn't serve you, and realizing that everything is a highlight reel. You don't have to listen to everybody on social media. You don't have to take everything as fact. Use your own discernment, trust your intuition. That's why trusting your intuition and developing a stronger intuition so you can gauge those things is so important, so that you're using discernment on what you're taking on as fact, because not everything on the internet is going to align with you or is correct. Something I say may not align with you, and you have to have the discernment to be like, well, she may feel that way, but for me, that doesn't apply to my life. Great. We all have our own perceptions of our reality. We all have our own perceptions of life. And the more that you tap into yourself and your intuition, that's how you're going to really understand what is right for you and what isn't. And then again, processing your emotions. Don't feel shame around being sad over something. Don't feel shame about being upset or angry. Feel it. Don't hold on to it. That's the biggest thing. You want to feel your emotions, but you don't want to let them take control over you. So I was trying to control my emotions too much. And then there were times where I couldn't control my emotions because I tried to keep such a grip on them. So now I've found the balance of, okay, I'm going to let myself feel this. And then I'm going to let it go. And that's where the freedom lies. Freedom is within you. Freedom lies within you, your perception, and the way that you're allowing yourself to be yourself. You got to allow yourself to just be you. You don't need to be anyone else but yourself. And I've come a long way. I definitely, I like to talk about my own perceptions and, like, the things that got me to this point, because I wouldn't be able to say all of this if I hadn't been there, if I hadn't gone through it, or still have moments where I feel that way. Um because I'm not the type of person that's going to sit here and just tell you a bunch of stuff and then not have anything to prove that I know what I'm talking about. Again, I've said this in the last episode. I don't talk out of my ass. Like, I'm going to tell you things that I know to be true for me and what I've experienced. And then also there is some channeling. I literally channel the higher power and angels. That's what I do. And so part of this is that as well. I'm a messenger for that as well, or a conduit, I guess, of the light energy. But I really do hope that these videos are helpful. Please let me know. And also, please let me know topics down below of what you guys want to know, or what you guys want me to talk about in an episode or a future episode. A lot of you guys, I asked on Instagram, and a lot of you guys had said you wanted me to talk about myself, but I don't know what to talk about. So I'm like, let me know what it is you want to know, and I will see what makes sense for me to talk about in the next episode. But I love you all. I hope you're enjoying this podcast. Just know that you are loved. You're worthy of the abundance of this beautiful universe, and you deserve all the good things in life. I love you. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Mady No Filter.